In this video, I'm going to show you everything you need to know to lean out and tone up for your boudoir session. I've been photographing boudoir since 2015, and since then, I've gotten to see a lot of people wearing not very much. One of the really cool things is I've had the anecdotal experience to ask both the athletes and the people with more average bodies about their daily habits. This post is going to show you everything I learned from my clients about how to lean out and tone up for your boudoir photo shoot. Now, I want to say that I am not a personal trainer. I'm not certified in anything. Basically, this video is just my anecdotal experience of getting to talk to really fit athletic women and getting to ask them how they came to look that way. Now, a lot of these women, and the reason why I started adopting these habits for myself was it was striking to me how you could have a 30-year-old woman who wasn't really taking care of herself very well and looked older than, say, some of my 50-year-old clients who were like defying age. And I wanted to know, why was that genetic? Was that something that they were doing? Like, why did some of these women look so incredible and then some of them looked like they were aging faster? So what I quickly learned was that health is beauty. The healthier you can be, the more beautiful you will be, and the slower you will age. So everybody wants to know the exercises that's going to give them the best results. Of course, best is subjective. But I'm going to say right off the bat, the single best thing that you can do is find exercise that you like and do it consistently. So if that's spin classes, if that's Pilates, if that's weight training, if that's CrossFit, the thing that you will be consistent with is the thing that you will have success with. Now, not all of those things are going to be the most efficient way to lean out and tone up. So for example, Pilates is a pretty terrible way to build muscle. It's great for mobility. Yoga is great for mobility. Both of those things are not good for toning up. They're really good for mobility. They're really good for your mind. They're really good for practicing movement. These things are not good for building tone. Likewise, I would say things like spin classes, running, treadmill. These are all great. They're great for cardiovascular exercise. They are, again, terrible for the tone-up part. So just as a little aside, when a lot of women find out about what I do, they say, oh my God, I would love to do this, but I would like to lean out and tone up first. And a lot of them think that the way to get there is with salads and cardios, basically starving yourself and doing cardio. And what I'm trying to explain to you here is that the tone-up part is building muscle. And a lot of women overlook this and think that the way that they're going to get there is by reducing their calories and doing really hard cardio. Again, really hard cardio is great for your heart health. I recommend that you do it after your weights. Resistance training, specifically weights, is the best bang for your buck. It's going to be the fastest way to build muscle and actually see tone. So if you haven't picked up on this, what I'm really targeting is the people that say that they don't have time to work out. Their lives are just too busy. I'm telling you, any kind of resistance training is going to be the most efficient way to visually tone up for your boudoir session. First place would be weights. Second place might be CrossFit. Third place might be TRX classes. All of those are resistance forms of training, but the weights is going to give you the most visual impact. Now, the lean out part is actually kind of tricky, and there's some nuance to answering this question, because on the one hand, I just told you how to tone up. But if you follow professional bodybuilders, a lot of times what they do is they go on a bulk and a cut. And if you are looking to lean out and tone up in 30 days or 3 months for your boudoir session, these are pretty tight timetables to both tone up and then lean out. So for most people, beginners especially, if you're not working out, I would say the smartest thing is to not really worry about the lean out part per se. Basically what you're going to do is what we call a body recomp, where you're going to gain muscle and lose fat at the same time. Hopefully the scale probably stays roughly neutral. But here's the thing. Most women tie their results for their boudoir session about how much weight that they lose on the scale. And this is probably the worst way to do it, because all you're tying your goal to is becoming a smaller person. And you're actually going to lose tone from doing this because your body's going to go catabolic and actually eat itself. And it's going to eat both muscle and fat. So if your goals are really to tone up and lean out, this is not a good strategy. What I advocate for instead is consuming a protein target and a fiber-rich diet and just trying to get as strong as you can. If you just stick to those two things that I said before, hit a protein target and eat a fiber-rich diet, I tend to find that the rest is going to work itself out on its own. And the diet part, what I just laid out for you, is the single hardest part that I've found for most women. In fact, nutrition deserves its own video by itself, but I feel like it's important to address here because we're talking about leaning out and toning up, and part of that is diet. You cannot outwork a bad diet. If you're a vegan or a vegetarian, I highly recommend that you go and work with a nutritionist, and that way they'll help you get a complete amino acid profile, which is much easier to do if you eat animal products. So for everybody else out there, to hit your protein target, basically, you're going to want to aim for anywhere between 0.8 and 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So basically, step on a scale. Let's say you're 150 pounds. That's 150 grams of protein you're going to need. Now, I recommend in the beginning, you track your food for at least a week so you can know exactly how much that is. And it's way more than most people feel comfortable with. Most women, I find, have trouble finishing that amount of protein. And this is really the key. You got to think about it like this. If you're building a house, you have the carpenters, you have the materials to build the house, and then you have the time, right? The workers are basically the exercise. The building materials for the house is the food, and then the time is the sleep. You can't build a house with inferior materials. So if you're like, I'm just going to go work out and I'm going to eat like garbage and I'm going to drink, you're not giving the carpenters the materials that they need to build the house. So basically what you can do is you can go into Google and you can say, hey, how many grams of protein are in 5 ounces of steak? And then you can kind of calculate out, okay, I'm getting 50 grams of protein here in this meal based off of this piece of meat. So one other thing on diet, again, I don't want to overcomplicate this for anybody, but I want you to hit a protein target. And with the rest of your food throughout the day, I want you to try and consume a fiber-rich diet. This is just going to help support the muscle building process. It's just a really healthy thing to do. So what is fiber? So fiber is like fruits, vegetables, rice, quinoa, sweet potato. All of those things have fiber in them. You want to try and support your protein with these high fiber foods. This is as complicated as I want to get with the diet because I feel like everybody overcomplicates diet. This is the most important thing for leaning out right here, hitting a protein target. So focus here and you will probably find that you will be leaning out and toning up just like you want. Now I want to compare this real quick with what everybody thinks that they need to do to lean out and tone up. So I talk to a lot of women that book their photo shoot and they book it for like 6 months out because they want time to work on their bodies first. And when I ask them, how do you plan to lean out and tone up? It's inevitably some sort of like calorie restriction and lots of cardio. And I want to tell you right now that the single best way to visually tone up and lean out for your photo shoot is going to be weight training, hitting a protein target, and getting 7+ hours of sleep per night. Now, I want to come back to something. This is technically not about leaning out and toning up, but this is something that will really help you for your boudoir photo shoot. Earlier, I said Pilates and yoga are inferior to weight training to tone up for your boudoir session, but that doesn't mean that mobility isn't important. Something I notice in my 40+ clients is that they become much more stiff than younger women in their shoulders and their hips. Pilates and yoga are excellent for increasing your mobility. Decreased mobility will basically limit the amount of poses that I can get you into for your boudoir session. The more mobile you are, the more poses I'll be able to get you into, the more variety of poses I'll be able to get you into, and higher mobility just frankly leads to more elegant photos. So I would definitely recommend that you work on your mobility in addition to your strength training. You could work in a couple of short mobility days, a couple of times a week on your rest days, or you could do yoga after your weight training, and that would be great too. Now, I already kind of touched on this earlier, but going back to the house analogy, if you have the carpenters, that's the exercise, the work, you have the building materials, that's the food. then you need the time to build the house. You could have the materials and the carpenters, but if you don't give them enough time, they're not going to be able to build you a house. So the time is sleep. And sleep is super important, not only for building muscle, because muscle is built during deep REM sleep, it's also really important for leaning out. And I think the biggest reason for this is because when you're tired, you tend to eat more to get more energy. So sleep is just way underrated. A lot of people just write it off as like, I don't have time for that. And then they'll scroll on their phones for 2 hours, avoiding sleep. Getting enough sleep is like the easiest thing that you can do to improve your boudoir photos. Just get more sleep. For me, it's 7+ hours a night. I think if you're not getting at least 7, that's the easiest win you have right there. So you might be thinking to yourself, thank you, I totally buy into this, but what do I actually do? Like, what exercises do I do? Check the link in the description. It has some sample workout plans in there that will help get you started, and if nothing else, just help get you pointed in the right direction. So the 2 biggest mistakes that women make when they're trying to tone up is some of them don't work out hard enough, so that they don't push themselves during the workout. And then there seems to be the other set of people, of which I am, that is like the people that overwork themselves and they do too much volume that they can't recover from. So the sweet spot is obviously somewhere in the middle. You should definitely be trying. You should be sore. You should be pushing yourself. But if you find that you injured yourself with any of these exercises, it's probably because you didn't recover enough. All right, guys, so I'm going to call this video here, and it's not because I couldn't go on. I certainly could, but my goal for this video was just to give you like the 20% of the information that's going to give you 80% of the results. So if you have any questions, please comment below, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.